Hello and welcome to episode 21 of my Hunter x Hunter reactions. So after the last couple episodes I took a bit of a break because the heat wave didn't stop and it got so warm that I was just unable to focus on anything and I was just so tired. So I took a couple days off from watching anything because I didn't want to give a half-assed reaction because I was so tired from the heat. So I decided to just take a couple days off and then get back into it. So I've had a short break, but I still remember very clearly everything that happened in the last few episodes, because I only took like a day or two off, so no worries about that. During the last couple episodes, I feel like my discussion could have been better. You know, it could have been longer, I could have talked more, but I feel like I was just so... Both of those episodes had just moments that were so... so impactful that my mind was only able to focus on them. I'm going to try and focus a bit more on note-taking because I want to make sure I remember to talk about everything and don't forget about stuff like I did in the last couple episodes. Like I didn't talk about the dream sequence Gon had and what that represents, and I didn't talk about why I feel certain characters were ranked to have more potential than others. At least I think I didn't. But yeah, I want to make sure I don't make that mistake again, so I'm going to be putting a little bit more effort in taking notes. Still going to pay attention, of course, but I just might lean over a little bit more to write stuff down a bit more often. But yeah, so when we left off, Killua had just Killua the old guy, and the tournament had been called off with Killua as the loser. And now everyone's in this room. It almost looks like a courtroom, although I doubt it is. I don't know what. I guess maybe this is the place where you're supposed to receive your badge, and Killua just got his in the little hospital area because, you know, he was badly injured. But yeah, Gon stormed in and he is not happy with Illumi at all, which is, you know, it's understandable. So yeah, let's just get into the episode because I want to... It's been a while and I want to get back into it. Alright, so that is episode 21 down. So we are officially hunters now. Gon, Leorio, Kurapika, we're all hunters now, except for Killua, but conveniently we're going to a country that doesn't require hunter access, so it's all good, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so let's start, let's take this episode chunk by chunk. So first of all, Illumi. I think Illumi has already grown into one of my favourite characters. He really made an impression on me last episode, and now it's just further cemented himself. I think if I were to make a top 3 characters in the show, I'm not sure exactly where I'd place him, but I think I'm fairly confident he would make that list. Like, it would probably be, in terms of favourite characters, the main 4, obviously, right? Leorio, Kurapika, Gon, Killua. Gon and Killua are probably at the top, but I also like Leorio quite a lot, and Kurapika too. Like, all 4 of them are up there, obviously, because they're the main characters, so they've got the most development and most screen time and all that stuff. It's only natural for them to be at the top at this point. But Illumi, man, I think I like him to a degree that is on the same level as them. Honestly, I really like him. I like Hisoka too. Like, I do really like him. I think he's a really cool villain. But there's something about Illumi's attitude that I find more interesting than Hisoka. Because Hisoka is like this deranged psycho, right? Who's building his house of cards and waiting for the fruit to ripen so he can kill. It's like, he's weird and he's a big mystery. But there's something about Illumi and his attitude which is just so entertaining to me. Like, he seems just so alien, you know? He's like... In like last episode was like, well, I better go kill Gon then. Oh, if I want to kill Gon, I have to kill you guys first. Oh, damn, but if I kill you guys, I won't get my license. Oh, and that'll happen too if I kill Gon. Oh, I know. I'll just get my license and then kill you all, you know? And this episode where he's like, oh yeah, he broke my arm. He's very strong. It's like, he's so devoid of emotion in the way that we would normally perceive it. Like, he clearly would have emotion to some degree, right? Like, for example, he cares about Killua. Does he care about Killua in the sense that he's family, so he loves him, or in the sense that he is just like an asset that he cares about? Like, well, Killua was very strong, so I can't let him get away. Like, I don't know in what way he cares about Killua, but he cares enough that he was wanting to go after him and bring him back? Does that mean he loves him in a family way, or respects his ability, or simply views him as being too valuable to lose? I don't know, but it implies that there is at least some level of emotional rationality within him to where he would not want to just discard his brother and wants him to be back for one reason or another, right? Whereas I could imagine someone who's completely emotionless to be like, whatever, we'll just make another one. You know, we can just have another kid, whatever, who cares? That one's gone, whatever, it doesn't matter. He can go do whatever, you know? Unless it's just a purely logical decision, like he calculated all the outcomes and it's most beneficial for Killua to come back, you know? But that's why, like, he's very, it's reflected by his actions as well. The way he is so robotic and everything. Like, when he dug out of the ground, for example, he was just like, hands, bum, 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 and then like sunk himself into the ground. It's like his actions and the way he holds himself is very robotic, and I think that is of course reflective of his personality, where his mentality is to do things like in the most efficient way possible to achieve his goal, right? The perfect example being what I mentioned earlier in last episode, where he was talking about how he'd have to get his hunting license first and then do this and then do this. It's like he had an end goal, which was to get Killua back. And in order to achieve that goal, he was like calculating all the steps he would need to go through and the most efficient way to go through them in order to quickly force Killua back onto his side, you know? And everything about him, from his actions to the way he speaks to the way he just looks, is very robotic and very alien almost. It's very different from how you would expect a human to act. And I think that's why I find him so interesting. Because it's just strange trying to figure him out, you know? And that's another thing that I brought up briefly, is that he's technically not done anything wrong. Like, you think of Hisoka, right? And Hisoka is clearly a villain. He's clearly a horrible, monstrous person who has killed people for basically no reason. Like, he's clearly a villain. But Illumi, even though he's on Hisoka's side, he's not really done anything that would make him a villain in the traditional sense. Like, ignore the Killua stuff, right? Pretend that the situation with Killua didn't happen, because I'll talk about that as its own isolated thing in a minute, but forget about that, I'll get to that later. What else has he done? Like, genuinely, what else has he done? Okay, in phase 1 he did nothing, he just looked creepy and whatever, okay. In phase 2, he did nothing. In phase 3, he just went through and that's all, you know, nothing particularly, you know, didn't do anything as far as we're aware. Phase 4, he killed a person, a sniper rifle at his head. So, I mean, come on, like, you know, like, it's a little messed up to kill someone, but this person was literally aiming a sniper rifle at his head. Like, you know what I mean? And people die in the Hunter exam, you know, people kill people. Killua's killed people in the Hunter exam, right? What's his face? Leorio, he held that guy off the edge, right? The blue guy, remember, where he was like, well, let's see if he's actually unconscious. It's possible that guy could have fallen to his death and died, and something tells me that if he did, Leorio wouldn't have cared that much, you know? Like, oh well, criminal scum, you know? Like, I feel killing people in the Hunter exam, it's best to avoid it if you can, but it's kind of just how it is, you know? And when it comes to Illumi, the only thing that really makes him seem villainous, ignoring the Killua situation again, we're talking about that in a minute, the only thing that really makes him seem villainous is the fact that, one, he looked creepy, which, I mean, like, yeah, but that's not exactly the best justification. Oh yeah, he's evil because he looks weird, you know? And two, because he hangs out with Hisoka, right? But we don't know what his relationship is with Hisoka, you know? I mean, Hisoka basically threatened to kill him just then when he was like, oh, Gon is my target, you stay away from him, right? So it's not like they're best buddies or anything. They're clearly willing to kill each other if they cross each other, right? They were just, I suppose, useful to each other in that regard, which makes me wonder why Hisoka needed to team up with him in the first place. Okay, I'll put that in the little box too and move that over there. Okay, talk about one thing at a time. But yeah, Illumi, before the Killua situation, really didn't do anything to warrant him being a villain. He just went through the tests normally, and then killed that one sniper lady, but the sniper lady was literally aiming a gun at his head, so I kind of don't blame him for that. You know, it's possible she would have shot him with, like, a tranquilizer or something, I guess, but we can't know that, right? We can't know that for sure. And then we get to the Killua situation. Yes, he is manipulating Killua, which does make him a villain in this situation. But you also have to remember that Illumi is in the same situation that Killua is in, right? He is the Killua who never had Gon. You know what I mean? Killua is a Killua, and he has Gon to be his friend and to bring him back to the light side. Illumi, I feel like, is going to be the Killua who never had a Gon. He never had that person to bring him over to the light side and show him how to live a normal life. You know, he never had that person. The only influence in his life was his parents and his family. So while yes, Illumi is a villain, I would argue that it's also not necessarily his fault, because he, like Killua, is just a product of his environment. But he's further along the path. He didn't have someone to grab him by the arm and pull him out before he went too far along, right? So he's just completely molded into that lifestyle and that way of thing. And that's exactly what we saw when Gon and Illumi were talking in the early part of the episode, where it's like, you know, I'm his brother, you know? Like, do I have to earn the right to be his brother, you know? And it's like, yeah, Illumi is his brother, and he thinks he is doing what is best for Killua, presumably, as far as we're aware. That could be completely wrong. Maybe down the line we'll figure out that Illumi secretly hates Killua and blah, 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 blah. But as of right now, it seems as though what he wants is he wants the best for Killua. He wants to help his brother, you know? He wants to give Killua the life he thinks he should have. And it's just that his mindset is so warped that he thinks doing this will help him, you know? So, like, ultimately, he thinks he is doing the right thing. It's just that his life has been so warped by this assassin lifestyle that what he thinks is the right thing is, to a normal person's perspective, very fucked up. So, while yes, he is a villain, I feel like he is a villain in action but not in heart, if that makes sense. Like, he is a person who is doing bad things, but he's doing bad things because he believes they are the right thing to do, you know? So he's not someone like Hizuka, for example, who is killing people and he's like, I have such a desire to murder, you know? Like, he's a bad to the bone guy. He enjoys killing people. He doesn't really value human life that much, you know? He is a villain in heart. And again, I could be proven totally wrong down the line. Maybe there is more to him. In fact, I'm sure there is more to him. But I'm just speaking right now based off of the information I currently have available to me. He is more of a villain, true villain. Like, he is a villain in heart. He likes killing people. He wants to do it. He has like a weird, like almost sexual desire to kill people, right? Like some real serial killer stuff. Whereas Illumi is doing bad things, but unlike Hizuka, he is doing them because in his warped mindset, he believes it's the right thing to do and it's what's best for his brother, right? Which that makes me feel like Illumi could potentially have a very sad backstory, where, like I said, he is the Killua without a gun, right? He is the kid who went through the same things that Killua is going through now. That total mind-breaking, you don't need to have friends, you know? All that stuff. He's the one he went through all that stuff, but he didn't have someone to help him, and he just got totally mind-broken and molded into what his parents wanted. Which makes me feel Illumi could potentially have a very sad backstory if they go in that direction. And then on to the next little thing I packaged up and saved for later, Illumi and Hizuka. Illumi, I can't remember whether it was Illumi or Hizuka, but one of them just straight up said we haven't even known each other for very long. So it's being made clear, no questions, no if, ands, or buts, like, no. Clear cut, they have not known each other for a long time, right? Like, they are not people who have been lifelong partners. They are people who probably only teamed up recently for the Hunter exam, most likely. Now, I know why Illumi would have teamed up with... Actually, no, I don't, now that I think about it. Like, both of them are so strong, it makes me wonder why Illumi and Hizuka needed to team up. Because Hisoka doesn't need Illumi. Unless he does? Because Hisoka was he was in contact with Illumi during phase 1, where he looked at the tracker and it showed Illumi's position on like a map, and he followed that. So is the implication being that Hisoka wouldn't have been able to go through phase 1 if it wasn't for Illumi, because he would have gotten lost in the fog? But then Gon was able to find his way back without Illumi's help, and I suppose that's also because Gon's natural senses and stuff, he's very good at that kind of thing. Is the idea maybe that they struck some kind of deal where Hisoka knows that he can lose control, like in the last exam, for example, where he almost killed an examiner, and he needs someone to keep him in check a little bit and guide him so that he can get through the exam without fucking up and killing someone important and getting disqualified. And that's what Illumi is for. He was in phase 1, for example. He just went through normally, no funny business, no going off anywhere else. He just went from point A to point B, and he kept Hisoka in check, like, hey, it's time, you need to get over here. And Hisoka's like, right, I'm going to go over there. You know, that kind of thing, where Illumi is the straight and narrow, and Hisoka is the wild card who goes off and does all kinds of crazy shit. But when it matters, Illumi drags him back into line to make sure he can get to that point he wants to reach. Potentially. Not in a forceful, I am stronger than you and I'm going to force you to do this kind of way, but more in a, I trust you, Illumi, to guide me, and I am going to put my faith in you for now, and in return, I will do something. But then that raises the question of what is Illumi's stake in all this, right? His only reason... Well, no, I was about to say his only reason for taking part in the Hunter exam was to meet Killua, but that's clearly not true, because he stated that he also needs a license to do a job. And if he needs a license to do a job, that means that job has to be in a location which would not be accessible by a normal person. But then that raises the question of... He's an assassin, right? He can change his appearance, he's probably very stealthy. So why does he need a license? Maybe he's not the kind of stealth assassin, maybe he's not that kind of assassin, maybe he's more like the go in, kill someone quickly and get out kind of guy, you know, just throw a couple of those things and get the fuck out of there before anything happens, right, maybe? But it does raise the questions of, if he's an assassin who clearly has the ability to change his appearance, why does he need a hunter's license, right? Like, why does he need a hunter's license so much that he would go through this entire process just to get one? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's just... I'm very interested in Illumi. I want to know more about him. I really want to know more about him. But yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, what is Illumi's reason for teaming up with Hisoka, right? If Hisoka's reason is because he believes Illumi can help keep him in check a little bit, which there are many reasons it could be. You know, Hisoka could have... There could be thousands of other potential reasons as to why Hisoka could have teamed up with him that I'm completely missing. But that's just the one that kind of jumps out to my mind. Is that Illumi being this calm, robotic, emotionless person. He's almost the opposite of Hisoka, right? Hisoka is this very emotional, not emotional as in like he's crying, but emotional as in like he's just got a lot of pent-up aggression and desire to murder. You know, he's almost like the personification of lust, but he's lusting after death rather than, you know, love and all that, right? Whereas Illumi is the opposite of that pretty much. He's extremely stoic, extremely calm. He doesn't let his emotions control him at all. He's completely rational, completely logical, very efficient. He's almost like the complete opposite of Hisoka. In fact, yeah, he is almost the complete opposite of Hisoka. Hisoka has this like weird weird like red wavy hair. This super weird like design where he's got like makeup and eyeliner and painting on his face to make him look like a clown, and these like weird clothes and all this stuff. He's wild. He goes off and murders people on a whim. He's this wild card driven by desire and emotion. And Illumi is very long, sleek, black hair, completely pale skin with no like discernible markings on it, very emotionless, lifeless almost eyes, calm, robotic, linear, straight to the point, efficient, no funny business, no extra unnecessary work. You know, Hisoka likes to kill people up and personal. Illumi just throws his fucking darts and kills them, you know? Which, right, that's another thing I'm wondering about. If Illumi was in disguise, right, by using those pins, does that mean that that's not his normal outfit? The outfit he's wearing now, the green outfit with all the pins in it? Because he did use the pins as weapons, which implies that, unless that was just a one-off thing that he was doing for this exam, which is possible, it's entirely possible, but it would imply that the pins are part of his ability, which would imply that this suit is his normal suit, but then that wouldn't make sense, because if that was his normal outfit, surely Killua would have recognized him, right? So this must be a disguise, I guess, the green outfit with the yellow pins? Huh. I wonder, because if that was his regular outfit, then surely Killua would have recognized him, right? I mean, yeah, there's so many questions, man, so many questions. Okay, but I could talk about and theorize about Illumi for fucking hours, but I only have so many hours in the day, so I need to move on to the next person. Well, the next section. It almost looked like a court hearing where they were arguing that Killua shouldn't have been disqualified, and Leorio, to his credit, was trying to throw himself under the bus to save Killua. Was like, well, no, I should be the one disqualified because Killua was trying to help me by killing my opponent, right? And Kurapika was like, he was hypnotized, it wasn't his own will, you know, he was being manipulated. And Netero, I still feel like I can't remember his name, Netero, the old guy, he threw those claims aside. He's like, nope, no evidence of hypnotization or manipulation, and I think you would have beaten martial arts guy anyway, so he wasn't helping you there. And that's also giving Leorio a lot of credit, because the martial arts master was said to be the best martial artist in the world, which means he is fucking, he's really good. And Netero said that Leorio is more powerful than him, which that is... I want to know where the hell Leorio got that power from. Like, if he is more powerful than the best martial artist in the world, a guy who has proven that he is good because he was able to make it to the final round of the Hunter exam. Because I've gone over this before, but just think about that. Millions of people get eliminated just on the journey to the island. And then, out of those people, 1 in 10,000 make it to the exam site. So millions get eliminated right off the bat, and then 1 in 10,000 make it to the actual exam, right? So right off the bat, you have to be like 1 in 10,000 people just to make it to the exam at all, right? So you're already in the top 0.1% of the human population, right? And then on top of that, you have to go through all of these deadly exams in which the top 0.001% of the population are having so much difficulty getting past them. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, Phase 4, Phase 5. By the time you're in Phase 5, you are essentially being ranked among like the 10 most powerful people in the world that aren't like hunters. Like if you put a line just below hunters, and like, you know, because hunters are obviously the next level up, but if you put a line, if you take the entire population of the world and rank them from weakest to lowest, put a line underneath hunters, and if you are in the final round of the exam, then that means you are like literally in the top 10 of that entire section of humanity, which will be 99.99999% of humanity, right? You are in the top 10 of that percentile of humanity. And the Oreo, so the old Grandmaster guy is that level. He is like top 0.00001% of the human race. And the Oreo is stronger than that guy. Leorio, we haven't seen much of his physical ability, but he must be really good to be at that level. Which makes me wonder, how is he that good? Like, we know he wants to be a doctor, but where did he get that ability from? You know, where did he get that raw power from to be that strong? You know, I want to know more about his backstory now, if he's that powerful, if he's that capable. Because that's the thing, you can't underestimate anyone who's in this section. I can already see the fucking reaction channels that are going to look at that bow and arrow kid and be like, what a loser, he got eliminated so quickly, whatever, oh, don't talk shit, kid. Like, I can already see those fucking people. And it's like, shut the hell up, man. Like, this, first of all, this dude made it to the finals, right? Already, if you're in the finals, you deserve respect. And yeah, he lost really easily to Hanzo, but you know what? So did Gon. Gon didn't lose the fight because he had ridiculous willpower, but he got beaten in one hit. If it was a normal fight, the fight would have been over in 2 seconds in one punch. So yeah, Bow and Arrow Kid lost to Hanzo, but that means nothing. Hanzo was ridiculously powerful, right? Now, the only thing that eliminates is the possibility that Bow and Arrow Kid is higher level than Hanzo. He could still be stronger than Gon for all we know, right? He could be stronger than Gon and Killua for all we know. He's probably not, but he could be. There's no evidence to the contrary as far as I'm aware, right? Like, you need to give everyone at this level some credit, right? You need to give everyone who's made it this far the benefit of the doubt that they are very capable. And then, speaking of that courtroom scene, Kurapika is still unwilling to divulge what was said to him by Hizuka, which is very interesting. What could Hizuka have said that Kurapika would be so unwilling to share, even to his friends by the looks of it? As far as we're aware, he hasn't told Gon or Leorio or anything. I don't know, like, if it was something simple, if it was just something simple, basically like, I'm going to let you become a hunter, and I'm going, like, if he was literally just saying something similar, simple like that, like, I'm going to deliberately lose and let you become a hunter, like, why would Kurapika need to keep that a secret, you know? Well, I guess unless it was a pride thing, maybe, I don't know, but, like, I'm trying to think in my head, what could it be that he said, because that's the thing, right, is that it has to be something that Kurapika would have a personal interest in keeping a secret, right? So it wouldn't be something like, I'm going to wait until you're stronger before I kill you, presumably, because what would be Kurapika's personal motivation for not sharing that? You know, like, why would he care if his if he shared that information? Like, what would be the benefit to him of keeping that a secret? And I can't think of one. So, what did he say? And he said it also to the old martial arts master as well. I wonder. But yeah, now we're hunters. And it was brought up, and this is very interesting, it was brought up that hunters have access to, I can't remember the exact statistics, but it was something like, you have access to 95% of countries that normally don't allow immigrants, you have access to 75% of this, and 95% of this, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And the reason that is important is because if you are part of a group which has access to 90% of something, then that means that there is a group above you which has access to 100% of something, right? If you do not have access to 100% of something, then that means there must be someone above you who does have access to 100% of something. And granted, that's not necessarily how it works. It might be a situation in which a hunter has access to 90% of something, and there's another person who is on the same level as a hunter, or maybe even below a hunter, but is entrusted with that remaining 10% and only that remaining 10%, right? That is entirely possible. It's entirely possible that there is a group which specializes in a certain percentage that hunters do not have access to, but they are not necessarily higher level than hunters. They just have a different speciality which hunters are not allowed to be involved in because they don't have the skill set, right? That's possible. That is entirely possible. But I think it's more interesting to imagine the possibility that there is some level above hunter, right? There is a level above what they have reached. There is something even more important, something more grand, something more high level that is above them. And that gets me into Ging? I've been pronouncing his name Ging up until now, but they were definitely saying J, like Jin, Jing. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but Ging. What is going on with him is very unclear. Because the guy on the ship, the guy back in episode 2, the guy who brought Gon and Kurapika and all them on the boat, he said, "You can rest easy now, Jin," which implied that Jin was dead, right? That was the implication I got from that. But now this guy, Satoz, is that how you pronounce his name? I'm not sure. Satoz, He said that I wish to meet Gene in person and thank him someday or whatever. I can't remember exactly what his line was, but it was something along that line. And that means that he believes Gene is alive, because he wouldn't say I want to meet him in person someday if he was dead, right? The possibility, of course, is that Gene is just so high level that ordinary hunters aren't allowed to know that he's dead, right? That's also possible, that he is so high up that he is dead, but that's classified information. It seems to be leaning more towards the he is alive aspect of things now. And if that is the case, I feel like we're heading towards that other option I talked about, which is the antagonistic role. Because it's a very classic trope in stories, right? You have the main hero and then you have the dad who turns out to be a villain, right? You know, Star Wars did, you know? Luke, I am your father. No, 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 no. I'm going to jump off into fucking space and kill myself now. Bye-bye, Dad. You know, it's a classic trope in storytelling. And, I just can't... it would be weird. Okay, I see three options, right? Option one, Gene is dead. And he's just so high level that ordinary hunters aren't allowed to know that he's dead. Option two, there's now 4 options because I just thought of another one. Option two is that Gene is dead and the hunters know that he's dead, but Satos is just keeping that from Gon for some reason. He's trying to keep that a secret for some reason from Gon. I think that's the least likely possibility, though. I would say like 1% chance that's the case. It's very unlikely, but it is a possibility, so I wanted to mention it anyway. Option 3 is what I just mentioned, which is that he is alive and well, but he's going to play an antagonistic role, where maybe he's a bit of a villain, and he's not the guy that Gon is hoping he was going to be, which would be very interesting for Gon's character, because Gon's whole character motivation is that he wants to find out what was so important and what was so great about being a hunter that his dad was willing to leave, right? Like, his whole motivation as a hunter is his father. So that raises the question of, if his father isn't what he thought he was, then what is Gon's new motivation? And that applies even if he just does find his father and his father's a great dude, you know? Oh, hey son, let's go play fetch? Let's go play catch in the park, you know? Even if that does happen, well, now what, you know? Gon's whole motivation for being a hunter is his dad. So even if his dad turns out to be fucking dad of the year, let's go to the carnival and eat some candy, you know? Even if he is amazing, well, what does Gon do now? What does Gon want to do as a hunter once he achieves his current goal, you know? The Oreo becomes a doctor. He goes on, cures sickness, and does all that stuff. But that question also... Kurapika kills the... captures the Phantom Troop. Okay, and then he continues to be a blacklist hunter and hunts down other criminals and stuff, right? But then what about Gon? Once he finds his dad, then what? What's the next step in his plan? I've always talked about how Gon is the one who seems to be looking ahead the most, you know, while Kurapika in episode 2 just answered the question, you know, when they were doing that 2-answer quiz of, would you save your mother or your daughter or your pet dog or your best friend or your bank account or that really nice little shiny ornament you have on the side and don't want to lose because you might want to do something with it in like a year but you're not really sure yet, or the drawer full of wires, you don't really know if the wires are important, so you keep them there even though they've been there for a year and you haven't done anything with any of them. Which one do you want to save? You know, those questions, right? And Kurapika just answered the questions and then moved on, whereas Gon didn't answer them. Well, I guess he did technically answer because the answer was to not give an answer. But he continued to think about the question, right? He continued to mull it over in his head. And to me, that's always shown that he has looked forward and has always kept a more forward-thinking mentality than everyone else, that he is looking ahead and he is actually thinking about this kind of stuff, whereas everyone else is just doing what they have to do now and putting that stuff off until later. But then, having said that, the dream sequence that we saw a couple episodes ago, which was a representation of Gon's journey and his fears regarding his journey, where he was running up the stairs, which of course is him, you know, rising up and completing challenges and to become a hunter and all that. And at the top of the stairs is his dad, and it's his desire to become a hunter, climb those stairs, complete those challenges, and eventually meet his dad and achieve his ultimate goal. But the interesting thing was that his dad was at the top of the stairs. The way Gon visualizes his own dreams within a visual medium of a dream, right? He visualizes his desires and dreams within an actual dream, right? if we take it in that way, then that means he has no purpose past finding his dad. There were no more stairs after that point. He was climbing and raising and becoming better and better until he meets his dad. But then after that point, there's nothing. There are no more stairs. There are no more challenges. He doesn't have anything planned out past that point, which makes me worry if he does reach that point, is he going to become purposeless? Even if things go his way and his dad is awesome, he could still find himself without much purpose. But if things go badly, which is what's probably going to happen, let's be real, then even more so he completely loses his purpose, right? There are no more stairs to climb after he's found his dad in his mind. There are more stairs to climb, of course. There's more stuff you can do as a hunter. But the point is that within Gon's dream, he didn't visualize any more stairs, which means that within his mind, he views finding his dad as the final achievement of his journey. But the reality is, unless it takes him 80 years to find his dad, that's not going to be the final step of his journey. He'll have his entire life after that still. And that's the kind of thing with hunters in general, which is that hunters, the idea of being a hunter seems to be you are a person who searches for the unknown. Right, that's the whole thing about the opening sequence. When I watched episode 1, I mistakenly believed that it was talking about actual literal magic. Like, the people who search for this magic are hunters. But no, I quickly realized that it means in a more metaphorical sense that they're not literally searching for magic, but rather the concept of the unknown is a magical thing that people are searching after, right? And for most hunters, their unknown is something which can be continuously found, you know, like Jean, for example, he finds one rune, cool, this is an awesome rune, now I have 10,000 others I need to go and find, right? It's a continuous task, but Gon's unknown is a finite thing. It's not a continuous journey, it is a single question, and once that question is answered, what now, right? What now? And that almost makes me think maybe this is going to be a thing where Gon helps everyone else. Gon helps Killua break away from his family. Gon helps Kurapika hunt down the Phantom Troop. Gon helps Leorio become a doctor. Gon helps everyone in his journey. And then when the time comes and he finds himself purposeless, it's going to be their turn to return the favour and help him find his new purpose in life. I could see that happening. That would be very interesting to watch. That would make sense. I like that. That's interesting. Not finished yet. So I suppose maybe that's meant to be a thing where it's like the true final phase of the hunter exam is finding your purpose as a hunter or something like that, I guess maybe. That would make sense. But yeah, I think I've gone over everything I can go over. Generally speaking, when I finish reactions 20 minutes later, I'll think, damn, I could have talked about that. Damn it. But as at the top of my head right now, I can't think of anything else to talk about. So yeah, I guess I'll just move on to the next episode then. I talked for so long about that episode. I don't know how many more I'm gonna be able to watch today. But yeah, that was really fun. I enjoyed talking about that. That episode gave me a lot to talk about, and I'm glad I took so many notes, because it was by taking so many notes that I was able to remember to talk about so much stuff. So I'm definitely going to be keeping more notes now. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be moving on to the next episode. If you liked the video, then like the video, because that's, you know, it makes sense, right? You like the video, Of course, perfect, makes sense, wonderful. Subscribe if you want to see more content, because as of right now, I don't have a schedule in mind. I'm just going to kind of upload when it feels right to upload, and kind of at a pace where I can keep up with it and not get too overwhelmed, you know? Because if I upload 5 episodes in 5 days, well, now I'm fucking caught up and I need to edit stuff really quickly and get myself a fucking aneurysm, you know? So I need to pace myself and kind of upload when I'm ready to. So I don't really have a schedule yet. So if you want to know when I upload, the best way to do that is just to subscribe, and then you'll know. Share the video. I keep saying this. It's super important that if you want my channel to grow, you share the video, because that'll spread the word, let more people know about my stuff, and it'll be so useful, and I'll appreciate it so much. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to head over to the next episode, and I will see you there.